So first, let's dive into the concept, why do we want power and control? This is because every single trauma that we've ever been through gives us a sense of not having control and power. And so when we talk about manifestation or creation, something within the body that's out of balance, that feels as though it lost power at some point, feels relieved because it's realizing it can gain its power back again. And what I'm here to remind you of today is that you have so much more power and control than you think. Hi, beautiful soul. So first off, I have a pretty bad sunburn on my nose. I thought I would try for once to not be a vampire and to not be pale. I went out in the sun for like a short time and I got a sunburn. So the sunburn will be joining us in today's video. And I want to tap into the theme of control, creation, and power today, because these themes are sort of the epicenter of trauma, yet also the epicenter of life. And what trauma feels as though it's lost, life is there to regenerate. Oh, also my shirt looks weird, sorry. It's like this, it's like a corset, but it's not fitting, so it looks like it's drawn onto my body, or like I'm wearing a box, a cardboard box, which may have fit a bit better, but whatever. I almost don't like using the term manifestation because it is brittled with this sort of nuanced, egoic, esoterica energy, the energy of the person who essentially wants to claim power over their surroundings, but they don't have the emotional and mental maturity to do so. And so because of that, the term manifestation has almost been overused and misused. It just reminds me of a bunch of like funny materialistic people who really want Lamborghinis.
Imagine you can tap using shamanic tapping for a brand new car, perhaps a new boat, or even a motorcycle.
So first, let's dive into the concept, why do we want power and control? This is because every single trauma that we've ever been through gives us a sense of not having control and power. And so when we talk about manifestation or creation, something within the body that's out of balance, that feels as though it lost power at some point, feels relieved because it's realizing it can gain its power back again. And what I'm here to remind you of today is that you have so much more power and control than you think. The thing that we must do, though, is discern between the difference of egoic control and an egoic need for lust and power, or lust of power, versus a divine control. Divine control means collaboration with a higher source, with a source that's rooted in love and compassion. Egoic control is also connected to a source, but this source is sort of a hellish, lower level source that desires to prove itself to the world. Whereas divine control doesn't need to prove itself to the world because it knows itself so well. There's this quote from the Tao Te Ching, which is my favorite book. It's more like my Bible. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you, except for me. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone will respect you. So it's a simple quote, but it's showing us the power of self-acceptance. And a lot of times the control we aim to achieve through creation and through manifestation has to come through acceptance of self first. A lot of people don't realize this because they think that manifestation or creation simply has to do with the external world around them. The truth is, it has to do more so with what's inside of them. And this is the hardest part for most people to grasp. The reason this is so hard is because we were born into a bit of a matrix. And I'm going to give you this definition of a matrix that I found recently. And I feel like it really aspires to break it down in a super simple way. The matrix isn't a place. It's a psychological trauma bond with fear-based control systems. We escape by healing our attachment wounds and reclaiming the power of our energy and attention. So what happens when we're inducted into the world of the matrix? We're simultaneously indoctrinated into this core belief system, which tells us that our internal world means almost nothing. And you'll see in the society, as it falls apart, that it does so because we've been led to believe the external world is all there is. So we have mass psychosis. We have sort of a trend of psychopathic behavior in this world. There's so many weird ways in which humans struggle for power right now because we've been led astray. And in being led astray, we've forgotten about our internal world. The first thing you need to know about creation is that your internal world is the way through which you will create that which you want to create. Your internal world is also the way through which you will find the power that you lost when you were brought into past trauma bonds or traumatizing scenarios. So the internal world could not be more highly spoken of or more important. Now, what happens with creation is you say you want a Lamborghini or you say you want a baby, but whatever you want is actually holding a symbolic resonance, a symbolic frequency that correlates to your subconscious mind. So you desire a family, a boyfriend, a soulmate, a girlfriend, a dog, a teacup, whatever you desire. I know I went kind of low there with the teacup thing. Whatever it is that you desire is representing something you'd like to integrate into your unconscious mind. For a Ferrari, that represents a masculine energy, and that can be embodied by the feminine too, but it's a masculine, powerful, sort of quick, adventurous energy that the Ferrari encapsulates. For some, it could encapsulate a very egoic energy, but I'm talking about more of a divine energy for a second. So let's say you're desiring for that sports car. Maybe it is bringing you a sense of power and a sense of specialness that you wish to integrate into your own psyche. So before you go out and even look for the sports car or whatever, you need to start looking for that sense of power and charm. There's something about a sports car that's very charming, very look at me, kind of like a peacock. And we think that this whole look at me energy is just of the ego, and sometimes it is, a lot of times it actually is. But think of nature, when the peacock, the male peacock shows its beautiful feathers, or when a bird does its weird little dance, or when, why am I always talking about birds? Okay, when a cobra stands up and sort of commands this respect, that look at me energy that we see throughout nature also lives in the psyche of human consciousness. So what we want to do is we want to purify this. So instead of having that look at me energy from the ego that says I need to be better than everyone and I need to prove myself because I feel like I'm nothing, because that energy is coming from lack. When we're highly narcissistic or self-absorbed, we're usually coming from a lack place in consciousness because we're thinking we're not special enough, we're not important enough, we're not aligned enough to be received by the world. So we have to over-penetrate our way into the collective psyche. And we do this by sort of distorting our image and trying to prove who we are. So that's coming from an egoic space of lack. That look at me energy. Look at me energy that's divine could be like the energy of a small child. Y'all who have small children out there, you know they have moments where they want you to look at them and adore them and give them attention. And you wouldn't say, wow, that's your ego talking. You would say, look at this little kid just wanting to be appreciated, held, and sort of seen as a spectacle of the divine. So that look at me energy, as far away as it may seem from the innocence of childhood, is actually very innocent. And that energy you can also find in a sports car. It's the adult's version of, hey, look at me, isn't this cool what I've done, what I've achieved? Or it could also be just a masculine appeal to adventure as well. Oftentimes that's what a sports car is. When you want to pull something into your field, into your reality, condense it, boil it down into its absolute meaning. What does this actually mean on a deeper level? You want a family? Does that mean that you want to feel complete and whole and maybe loved communally? Maybe the communal parts of your own psyche are desiring to love you more and you don't know how to let it in, so you desire to have a family instead. This isn't the only reason for wanting a family. I'm just giving examples. Behind the symbols that we desire to pull into our life, behind the pure symbol of money, lives all these different psychological levels, and some of them are totally innocent and they need to be integrated into the psyche. And when they're integrated into the psyche, you actually become a sort of ecosystem, a thriving energetic ecosystem that allows for the frequencies of these symbols or these scenarios to come into your life. That's what I mean when I talk about aligning frequencies to bring in that which you wish to create. You go into the symbology of the frequency that you wish to align with. And by the way, don't judge it. There's too much judgment in the spiritual world. Oh, well, if you're spiritual, you shouldn't be rich, and money is evil, and blah, blah, blah. Don't judge it. Inspect it. Look into it. Psychologically analyze it. Get to know it. And once you start to psychologically analyze it, if that which you desire to pull into your life is out of alignment and it is of the ego, then you'll know because you've analyzed it. And you can always tell it's coming from the ego when it's coming from a place of, I need this to complete me. So if you get that sports car, if you become really rich, if you have that family, if you have that soulmate, if you have sex, then none of that should be an attempt to complete your soul and your spirit. If it is an attempt to complete you, it will actually destroy you. And I know that sounds really dark, but it's actually true. When we try to complete our version of self by using something in this world as a form of completion for a world inside of us that must be completed from within, that is when we sort of have issues arise. And this is because our relationship to this external world wasn't meant to be a relationship of completion. It was meant to be a relationship of revelation. So for example, when you go to school as a child, the teacher is not meant to complete you, to make you feel like you finally know who you are. That would be a weird codependent tendency. The teacher is there to present information to you and to help you learn. The power to create whatever you'd like in this reality, it was always within you. That which you desire to integrate into your life is totally possible if you understand the power you carry. However, what about the trauma bonds and the false belief systems that try to convince you that which you want to bring into your life is actually far away from you and hard to attain? So then you have this whole trench within your psyche, this whole crevice of traumas and beliefs. Because here's one thing I should state. It's not the trauma that is what brings us down every day and what keeps us stuck. Yes, traumas are bad. They're not good. Like, I don't wish a trauma on you or want people to feel extremely traumatized. Traumas aren't fun. It's the belief systems, though, that echo in our own minds and that hold us back for an eternity sometimes. The belief system is concreted in your mind when you're a young child and you don't fully understand what's happening with the trauma, or when you're a confused adult who doesn't understand the energetics and emotional implications of what's happening. So these belief systems, they become a version of our reality, and then they become obstacles and blockages around that which we wish to receive. And that can be really frustrating for people because they do all this work to try to manifest or create something, but they don't realize that the belief systems they've formed around their traumas are simply keeping them from allowing something in. And why are these belief systems keeping them from allowing something in their life? Because belief systems correlate to vulnerability. So a belief system either protects you from vulnerability or it allows you to enter into vulnerable connection with life around you, to create with reality, with the cosmos, with the universe. You must realize this is not a one-person job. This is between you and source, or you and the energy around you. So therefore, it is an alchemical process, and it's not just a process of individuation. So when you start to create with the energies around you, what you want to ask yourself is, do I feel safe to be vulnerable with life itself? To see myself as if I'm in a partnership with life, and to say to life, I'd like to create this with you. Do you feel safe enough to do that? Some of us think we do, and we actually don't, because to feel safe enough to do that means that we open up our chakral system to allow energy from around us to flow in and merge and dance with it. And that is the art of creation, intertwining with the energies around you to bring about that which you'd like to bring about, doing it in a respectful and loving way that benefits not only your heart, but humanity's heart as well. most people who say they want to create but have a hard time creating will realize that their chakral system is very closed off. And if it is, it's closed off to preserve you, to keep you safe. And that's something we want to respect. So that means there's a part of you that went through a trauma, it shut its energy field down, and then it thought, I'm just going to stay shut down to protect myself. So you have to start to talk to your body and say, hey, let's open ourselves up to potentialities, if we could. Let's open ourselves up to the potentiality of something simple and then get more complex as time goes by. But when this happens, you start to open up your chakral system, and it can now collaborate and co-create with the energies around it rather than just staying shut down. Because when we stay shut down, we don't only have a hard time creating stuff like momentum and ambition and power in our life, but we also have a hard time receiving love and feeling relaxed, because your energy field is always on edge. And what a lot of people don't realize is the chakral system is connected to the nervous system. So your energy field, which you could see as a map of chakras, but you don't have to. You could also see it as a map of different geometrical shapes. It's connected to your nervous system. And this is why healing the nervous system is so important, because it allows your energy field to then become this vibrant ecosystem that is then a match and open to creating that which it wants to create. So this is creation, co-creation with the energies around you. There are all these weird subliminal connections that happen around us, and we're not really aware of them. So we're firing off these like neurons of creation with one another, and we're not even realizing it. The main things we need to remember would be trauma bonds and trauma states sort of shut down the chakral system and the energetic grid that you reside in, thus creating a more disconnected experience with reality, thus making it a bit harder to create. The other thing we'd want to say is that that which you want to manifest and pull into your life is a symbolic resonance, a symbolic frequency to something you'd like to heal or evolve or grow within your own mind. It's more important to work on your internal world and how it sees the symbols around you than become addicted to the symbols around you. I think we went pretty deep today. Do let me know what you feel about this conversation about creation. I'm going to try to do one video on metaphysics per week and then one video on metaphysics connected to the matrix per week, because I think it's interesting how the matrix flows, all of its weird totems and symbols like the Johnny Depp trial or the Kim Kardashian weird stuff, which on one level doesn't matter at all. On another level, it's indicating something the collective is hungering to integrate. So I'll be talking about that once a week too. You just let me know what you think of that and what questions or topics you'd like to dive into. I've been studying energy my entire life, and I love discovering things about energy with you and sharing theories with you, helping you and me to remember we're so much more powerful than we ever thought we were. So have an amazing day, and I'll see you soon. I love you, beautiful soul.